Hello and welcome everyone. So here we are another Thursday and we're doing a major arcana card again. This time we've got a treat in store for you. It's the Wheel of Fortune, the one that we all want to actually have in a tarot reading. The Wheel of Fortune, the Wheel of Fortune. And in this card we're seeing a revolving wheel that represents the wheel of life. Now this wheel is constantly in motion. And in each corner of this card, we can see 4 winged creatures sitting in the clouds. Can you see that? The creatures in this particular card are yellow, and we meet them once again later on when we look at them in the world card. And that's when they change because they are no longer yellow, they're coloured in. So what's the meaning of that? The creatures in the card represent the 4 elements in the tarot that we encounter in the minor arcana. So we've got that winged angel there, she's representing air, and the eagle representing water, and the winged bull representing earth, and of course the winged lion, which leaves fire. So these figures symbolize the 4 fixed signs of the zodiac, which is Aquarius, fixed sign, Scorpio, Taurus, and Leo. And the books that they are reading contain all that knowledge about their elements and the elements of the other 3. The yellow that I was talking about in our 4 winged figures indicates that they're mentally working hard to get the information and assimilate that. So they've absorbed lots of knowledge at this stage and they'll be analysing it and to see how it should be applied in life. However, at this point in the journey, they're not yet qualified because they are yellow, they're still studying, and they don't know enough about each of the other elements to understand. So that's about the air, the water, and earth and fire. So they need to understand everything to be complete as a whole and to be fulfilled within. The wing figures appear more than once, and as I said, they come up in that final card, which is the major arcana. Then they're in full colour. But the meaning of yellow is the fact that they're still studying their own element and the element of the other 3. So once they've completed their journey with all their successes and glories, and their ups and downs and their gains and losses, we'll talk more about that in the wheel, things that they've loved, things that they've lost, and things that they will fully understand, and the lessons that are learned in each of the 4 elements, then they'll be whole. This card, Wheel of Fortune, most of the time you could see it as in it's a card of fate, destiny, karma, kismet, luck. What goes around comes around. And really it just means a cycle of what's going on in life. Lessons learned in each element, and that's the wheel of life, isn't it? It's really about how we are able to go to a place where we can have our life and our knowledge, and that we are on the cycle of life. A little bit more about what's in this card and its description. You can see a sphinx sitting on the top of the wheel. And if you look, he's holding a tilted sword. As before, in the cards before this preceding the Wheel of Fortune, which is number 10, when we've seen swords coming up, we can see the Sphinx is at the top of the wheel, and that tilted sword represents confusion in his thoughts, i.e. the person that's having the reading, which we keep mentioning, is called the querent. Lack of clarity. Clouds will cause a lack of clarity. So when you see clouds in tarot cards, it's telling you there is a lack of clarity, that not all is being revealed. Things might not be straightforward, and that's why we've got a slant, telling us that in communication, why a sword? Because it represents air, and air is the suit of communication. I think I'm going to try and bring myself in a bit more light there. Yeah, it's about the fact that we haven't got the full picture, and that's what that sword is representing. The fact that we are gaining clarity and we are gaining experience, but we have not yet perceived all of this. So the Sphinx is the guardian of the wheel's wisdom, and that's what it stands for. So it's the wisdom there. And on one side of the wheel, can you see that we've got a snake slithering downwards? We'll talk about that in a minute. And on the other side, we've got, some say it's a red figure, but I would say that's orangey to me. And that's called the anubis. And the anubis follows the upward rotation of the wheel. So if you look on the right, I'm going to say that dark orange figure, the anubis, follows the upward of the wheel, almost like trying to lift up like that. And the Anubis guides souls from after death into the spirit world. And that's where they are eventually reborn into the physical world again. And this is presented in this card that life is reborn again from decay and death. It's a little bit of history of what's going on there, really representing the cycle of life and change. And eventually that new life will decay and die once more before rebirthing processes again. And the cycle is continuous. So the wheel's representing not just physical life, but every aspect of life. That's the four corners that we've got there with all our winged creatures. We've got air, water, fire, and earth. And the wheel's teaching us the lessons of impermanence, that nothing lasts forever. Life is in constant motion. And the things that we are experiencing at any given moment is only fleeting in the grand scheme of things. We cannot stop the wheel of life from rotating, no matter how much we want a particular situation to remain intact or as it is, because the universe won't permit that permanence, and it only leads to your stagnation and lack of spiritual growth. So growth comes about through the cycle of change in our physical, intellectual, emotional, and our spiritual. So to truly understand the lessons of the wheel, we must experience the upward turn of the cycle and its downturn. So what goes round, comes round. That is, after all, why we are incarnate. So there is great depth to the Wheel of Fortune, for it teaches us some really tough lessons. As far as the Sphinx is concerned, there is no fortune or lady luck involved in this wheel. This Wheel of Fortune, when you ride on it, it may be downward or an upward turn. And what this card is about is saying, it's down to you now. You're fully responsible for how you got here and the circumstances that you were dealt and how you manage them. So no one's saying, oh my gosh, this set of circumstances, how could I have possibly coped? Some people give up. Some people throw in the towel. Some people decide, I'm going to make myself stronger. I'm going to work with what I've got. Do you see? It's how you handle it. Or you could be the person that goes, I'm not waiting for anything. I'm in control here, and I'm going to actually hedge my bets, and I'm going to line up 10 ducks in a row, and I'm going to do that. As in, it depends on how you use that situation as to whether you continue to stew in the soup or whether you go into growth. No finger can be pointed at someone to blame for the fate, the gods, or saying that it's shining on you or cursing you, whichever it is. You got here by yourself, and the Sphinx is advising you that if you're clever and wise, like I've just said, you should stop and be observant as to how you got here and where you are on the wheel, because it's not by chance. On the upward or the downward turn, it's the right place for you. However, the wheel will be in constant motion, so wherever you are, remember this time too will pass. Got it out that time. So the wheel will turn once more, and in the now, it will soon be, it's in the past. You know, what's now, past, tomorrow. Generally and traditionally, this is believed it's a very positive card, and because changes in circumstances, and it indicates that the Wheel of Fortune is upright. So Lady Luck does appear to shine on us. Yeah, linking the astrology to the readings. Here we are now with a planet, and the planet is Jupiter. So tonight, just think of Jupiter, Wheel of Fortune. I'm sure you've seen wheels spinning on TV programs or something that would help you. And the wheel is like a mandala. It is planet Jupiter. Sometimes what we think is good or bad luck is just the opposite, because sometimes it's a catalyst to the other. So whichever's involved, you might lose your job and think, oh my God, life's awful. I've not got a lot, no money. It's just dreadful. But now that you've not got a job, although it's not great, at least you can reflect and work out, were you happy with what you were doing in your job? Were you valued enough? And the only value that people can actually put upon our work is quite simply a monetary value. So we paid enough. Gives you a chance to say, do I actually feel that I was being paid enough for my experience and hard work? And then you can decide whether you want to start your own business because you've got the time to do it, you've got this vast knowledge, and hey presto, before you know it, a year later, your business is thriving. So what can look like something dreadful and awful could be the very thing that actually brought you to a place where it was truly fantastic. People do things for a reason. You may be really pleased that life now appears to be going really well, and that downward turn on the wheel was not so wrong for you after all, and you learn loads from your experience. Growth. But what if you're now in that position and you have your own business and you're spending every hour of your waking life maintaining your business? Stress, no social life. Maybe the upward turn of the wheel was not so beneficial after all. So what the Wheel of Fortune brings is wisdom for you to understand that your own circumstances are constantly evolving and changing. And, what started off as something being negative, like the wheel going downward and you're losing the job, may not be so bad after all. So remember that at each stage of the wheel, the upward turn will always, the cycle will always go round. It'll be your turn soon to be on the up, or hold on a minute, why am I going here? What do I need to do? What do I need to know? What do I need to do in order to grow? So in life, there's a season for everything, isn't there? There's time to live, time to love, time to work, time to play, time to rest, be happy, be sad, a time to lose, to be young, to be old, and eventually we die. And by the time the four-winged figures featured in our card get to that point in their journey, they're at the world card, which we'll be doing much later on, but they will have got it. They will have absorbed the meaning of all of it, and it's all the four suits. So it'll be their mental, it'll be their emotional, it'll be their physical, and it will be that earthiness of how they are navigating everything and their productivity of being able to make things tangible. That's what we mean. And there'll be a deep spiritual understanding of the changes that they've experienced. Wheel of Fortune teaches us to be a bit aware of our present circumstances so that we're looking at patterns and cycles and whether things are going well or wrong for us, what we're learning. And if we don't want these patterns to keep repeating themselves, we've got to figure out how we got there in the first place. Yeah? And that's precisely what the four-winged figures in each corner of this card are learning from their books. And the Wheel of Fortune is teaching us about karma and the cause of effect in our life. So when it appears in a spread, it usually brings up some really positive, strong points as to change in our circumstances. Life is going well at this stage, and there's so much growth and abundance. And we're thinking, oh, everything's going wonderful. And we might be in the right place at the right time. This is a card of being in the right place at the right time. It might be the soul of people's curiosity. People want to meet you. People want to listen to you. Or there may be people around that are just in the right place at the right time. And you just needed that. You needed to hear that. You needed to be with them. They networked with you and they're introducing you to the right people that you need in order for where you are in your life right now. This is a time when you enjoy this period and you cherish it and you don't worry and you look at what you've learned through your experiences and your development and how things are going. So your self-esteem will be on the increase as long as you are able to thoroughly enjoy that. No effort involved in your part because it's all happening in a good way. But you might be aware of some of the patterns and cycles in life and understand why you are where you are at that time. So the Wheel of Fortune is number 10, and 10 is change, and it holds loads of energy for us. It's all about optimism and purpose, abundance and energy and fulfillment. It's just a change from one cycle to another, like the suits 1 to 10. But it brings about some form of completion and energy, and continued growth is always possible. The Wheel of Fortune is linked to Jupiter and astrologically to all the 12 zodiac signs. So this picture has a sphere with magical symbols and ancient lettering in it, yeah? And letters on the outer sphere of the wheel are Hebrew and Roman letters, and those letters would spell in Jewish text Yahweh, and the Roman letters around the wheel is the Latin name for wheel, Rota or Torah. Torah is the scroll that's held by the high priestess, yeah? And the letters are placed in all these different points. If you look at that wheel and you look at the top at 12 o'clock, you get T-A-R-O. You've also got tarot, if you read it that way. If you read it from 12 o'clock to 9 o'clock, yeah, you've got Torah, yeah? And these letters are placed in north, south, east, and west cardinal points. And so there are also some symbols on the inner part of the wheel, and they're relating to alchemy. And so we've got sulfur, which is on the right-hand side, mercury, which is at the top, water that's at the bottom, and salt, which is on the left. And the Wheel of Fortune is symbolic of life and its ever-changing nature, the flow of life. Life doesn't stay still, does it? And the Wheel of Fortune is at the heart of all change. And it can be transformation in the blink of an eye, good or bad. But the symbols that you see on the wheel are symbolic and indicating that change is everywhere, including the 4 corners of the earth. Even the universe, the stars, nothing is certain, nothing is certain. And so remember that we've got the 4 fixed signs of the zodiac on the corners. Again, we've got Scorpio, Leo, Taurus, and Aquarius. And we've got the 4 elements, and that's relating to the minor arcana cards in the tarot, the swords, the cup, the wands, and the pentacles. And so we've got the entire zodiac there. Remember we said they're studying, they're looking at change, and they are yellow because they are in the midst of growth, they're not there yet. And so there's lots and lots of things that's coming up. Top of the wheel, we've got the Sphinx. Let's talk a bit more about that. The double-edged sword, which we said is a slant. And that can really be confusing. But they're also bringing truth and wisdom. That's what the Sphinx is representing. And she's in blue. And that represents faith in our success, getting it right, in a place to be secure, to stay on top. And her sword is also representing logic and brutal honesty. And it can cut both ways. And that's because it's double-edged. and it can separate us from what no longer is in ours to keep in our lives. It's showing that things can go equally well in one direction or not so good in another. And that sword is held at that angle where we may not feel it's emotionally fair or welcoming. And we all constantly wish to be at the top. Of course we do. But it's not always what's going to give us the necessary experience that we need to evolve. You know, and to the left of the wheel, that snake traveling, that represents Typhon, which was snake that tried to take over the universe and was slayed by Zeus. And Typhon travelled round the wheel, representing a downfall. And that was due to ego, desire, excessive pride, confidence. And he symbolizes the wisdom that can be gained from having a view of who you are, or your world completely destroyed. Depends whether you're going to go for the ego, doesn't it? So yeah, there is our snake, coloured in yellow, also representing intellect, confidence, and the destruction of the mind. And if things fall apart, our beliefs will be shattered. So there's a lot of symbolic going on in this card. I talked about the Nubus, which is a figure on the right, dark orange as I'd like to call it, which is all about regeneration and regrowth. What else can I tell you? Oh, the blue sky. That's mixed with blue, and blue sky is mixed with grey clouds, and that's the card's duality for good and bad, happy, sad, positive, negative, growth or destruction. And whether it'll bring you sunshine and rainbows or whether it'll bring you storm. This wheel can move painfully slow sometimes for us, and sometimes way too fast, exceptionally fast. Life is a constant cycle of death and birth, and big things and small things, which affects our very being. So the Wheel of Fortune brings luck, destiny, karma, fate, reminding us that life is sometimes presumed to be controlled, but it's not. It's an illusion. There's a reason behind everything that occurs in life, and every action, no matter how tiny it is, adds to the cycle of cause and effect. Wheels do not turn without applied motion, so we can set up the wheel, and equally we can be responsible, or we can allow someone else to spin our wheel, as it were. So yeah, it can take tiny little motion of days, weeks, months, or decades affecting us. So it's a card of life, luck, and the situation will change. So we're at a turning point, and we need to know that we can achieve our best. And it's a card of life's ups and downs, reminding us that change in life is always bringing us growth, whether we choose to look at that, whether we allow those changes to help us move forwards. Everything goes in cycles, good, bad, indifferent, and fortune shows positive flows with luck and good fortune. So it's a reminder that nothing stays the same, really, isn't it? Everything's on change, everything. And Wheel of Fortune, when it comes up in a reading, is telling us that a phase in life is starting and an old one is ending. So there's changes going on in our life, maybe tiny changes, or as a whole, or within our own individual situations. So maybe tiny, but they can all add up, can't they, in a big old way. As life moves forward, we should always look to try and work that we are dealt with. And if you feel that change is necessary, it's an excellent time for you to create that change and follow your dreams. And luck will be on your side. Sometimes you have to make your own luck, and you enjoy the benefits of your efforts and your labours. This is a lovely card, and just a reminder of the cycle of life. What this is showing is that this fellow who is in a poor state suddenly has fallen down, and somebody comes along, and it's a king, to help him out, giving him the opportunity to be friends with the king. So you see there you go. I fell down with a bump and landed up, and I've met royalty and we're friends. That's what that particular deck is all about. The Light Seers is a very popular deck, and it's wonderful. But again, I would say, as lovely as it is, it's very hard to do a reading with just a few different. Look, I can say all of this is there, but there's no snake in there. And this one, absolutely beautiful. This is a Druid deck. And this one, again, lovely, but look, some strange images. Lovely, but you're not going to be able to read that in quite the same way. And this is the vice versa deck. I absolutely love the fact that you've got a front and a back, but a bit confusing. And yeah, you've got all the symbols there, but there's no snake, there's no Anubis, and that actually looks like the magician to me. It's a bit confusing. I love it, but you see what I'm saying. Perfect. That's what we're looking for. This kind of deck that will actually let you see. We talked about the colours, what it meant. I talked about the number. We talked about planet Jupiter. All of what the meaning is of the colours, the clouds, the sky, the snake, the winged figures in the four corners. So much. And this is very similar. This is a quirky little deck, yeah? And this is, yeah, it's the Rider-Waite map. I hate that. Really don't like. No, not me. Let it go, because the rest of the cards, that's, ooh, it's a lollipop. It's fun. Candy house and all the rest of it. But not when you're trying to learn. It's not helping. It's really not helping. Sorry, I'm not sure if that's helping either. Let me turn that light. And then this one, Wheel of Fortune card here. It's lovely, very modern, gorgeous. But again, you're not going to get all of the depth that's coming in. By the way, the colours are much better. It's just that I've got a green screen. It's not that easy for you to see. But there's some wonderful things going on here. Very modern. He's got a garage. There's the time. We've got rainbows. We've got the dog. We've got the girl. We've got, the neighbour's car and the young fellow there. He's got a spanner in his hand. We've got angels. But I love it. Absolutely love it. I don't mean, and I show you these decks, and some of them really speak to you for the odd images, but it's not quite sure what that sort of might help somebody that is trying to learn and know all of this. And you don't have to remember everything I've told you, but it's nice to know it, and it's nice to be able to go, well, why is that there, and what is it telling us? It's all code. That's what it is. What you're doing is decoding it. And if you are only getting half a story and you don't know all of the story because your teacher only said, right, that's it, you know enough, there you go. I had that over and over and over and over. And that's why I kept going. Like, there's more, I know there is. It's really hard for me to get tarot cards, books. I had to go into central London. And I'm talking Trafalgar Square, mysteries, Llewellyn bookshops. It wasn't the days of the internet, the library. And it was like, oh, that book's out. It's booked out for months. You can't get it. It wasn't that easy. But I did a bit of courses work because they were all scattered around London and all up and down the UK. And I was like, yes, thank you, I'm going to that. And even if I'd heard it all before, it reinforced it, refreshed it, it helped me, the way somebody said it, add a bit, it'd leave a bit out, whatever. And I've just gone, what do you need to know about that card? Another Wheel of Fortune, and there's some animals, lovely card. She's trying to turn around and tempt her and gambling and that. Then you've got the Ferris wheel here in this one. This one again is like this one, all colourful, groovy, really lovely, but much better because we've got all the elements going on here. Got the Anubis here, we've got the winged figures here, and we've got the snake, but this time in green. Again, same sort of artist as with these two. Thought I'd got a third one out. Perhaps not. Anyway, this one, yeah, it's good. It's got a lot of stuff. It's not got that depth. And even this, it's not the same as that Rider-Waite or the traditional Waite. This is the borderless stack. And the colours are a bit flat. It's what floats your boat, but if you're struggling, it might be the deck. And that's why I show you these. This was one. This is my creation with an artist back in 2005. We published that as a real deck in 2006. Why did we do it like that? I wanted graphics on a website that actually just explained very quickly on a website. Boom. Yeah, because the more detailed, the more mess. I needed something short, sharp, like graphic design. So that was the reason for that. And because I was lucky enough, when I was doing it, had the artist, had the graphic designer, my husband and wife, and people that actually printed this for me encouraged me to do it because they clients of mine, and they said, come on, let's do it. What have you got to lose? Never really did anything with it apart from sold decks at shows. Much harder to do than you would think, but it was nice to have my own copy. So that's what I want to say to you. So what else have I got for you? What about this? This is a worksheet that just gives you the key points that you might enjoy of the colours, the numbers, maybe yes or no. I've put a little bit on there about reversed if you're interested in that. And that's available as a download from my site. So there you go, there's a bit of fortune. Or you might like this version. And this is, again, a download. So these are keywords. So it's cleaner. What would you like? And these are just really cheap and under a couple of pounds or under a fiver. You know, what? I might want them all. I made them because it's what I was asked for by my client. And they just wanted different things. So it's like, okay, there you go. So you've got PDF cards that I showed you. You've got this one. Journal. Here's a journal, and I change that all the time. The front cover, because I've been doing it for a few years now. But people like this because I've put like the full there, a little card and the date, and then you can write. The beauty of that is when you download it, if you need more than one page for the full, I needed loads. You can just print another page over and over. You don't have to keep writing full continued. So it's not a book. It's actually, you can do it as you want, but print it off. There's your magician. So I've done them all for you. And I'm rushing through that. Love is a chariot there. I've even done a version that goes death, temper, pairs, and how to read it. There's the suits. I've done that for you there. Goes through like that. Court card. Yeah, fun. But you can actually put notes on it. And again, really nice for you to have. So you can keep everything. And I do keep a journal, as in for tarot, even though you call it that. It's just my notebook. It's what I always called it, but people are calling it these days. So yeah, there's your journal. Because again, people said, I've got books and books and books and books of it. And absolutely, of course you will. Here you go. There's your few keywords like that. I've done different pieces of paper for you. And then I've done it like that. So if you're using a pair that you can write down the actual pair that you did like that. Can you see? So you can put your major on the left and your minor on the right. You can write down your keywords, your thoughts, your meanings, feelings, all of that for you. So you can, as many as you want, you can print off of that, can't you? You could say, right, when you're printing on page, I think it's page 86 out of 100, I want several copies of that one. So that's why I did it for you. And the beauty is it's yours and you can keep adding to it and just pop it on your computer. It's a PDF, do the bits that you want. Not a PDF, I did it as single sheets. Thank you for having me. Thank you for your company. So I'll see you soon. Take care of yourself and each other. Have a wonderful weekend. Bye for now.